welcome back to Djuma. We haven't had a particularly successful afternoon thus far, other than for the beautiful golden light that is bathing us, as you can see. But luckily Brent, it would seem, has found those lions. Now we're not quite sure where he is. They're in this area around where we are now. So I'm just going to focus on the road, and we're going to see if we can't go off-road and find them again. Apparently the lioness killed a steenbok earlier today, and it wouldn't have been much of a meal for the whole pride, but we'll see if we can go in and see what's remains. Remember, any questions you have, questions at WildEarthTV, or you can use the hashtag handle. Here we go. Safari Lions. So we've got some tracks going off-road here, so we're going to try and make our way in. Do you copy? I'm not quite sure where they are, so hold on tight while we bump through here. Turn off and have a listen. There are some Battis's alarm calling off to the left of us, towards the sun there, but I don't see anything in that direction, so we'll carry on going. Brent, in the block looking for you, just east of Mvubu Road. Okay, copy that. Alright, we've got a better idea of where he is now, so hold on tight. I'm going to get there a bit quickly. Try and go through this gap. Here we go. Back to the road. Hope you're all still there. Through that drainage line now. Hey, affirmative. everybody wave at Brent. Thank you, Brent. Are we just straight off in here?
Step straight in there. I'm going to be following you.
Okay. Thank you, Brent. Watch out the thorny tree. Yeah. We're just trying to figure out exactly where they are and not destroy the vehicle in the process. We'll take Bjorn's head off. Okay, head there. Zebra wood there. Yep, we're through. And we go. Exciting. We should have them right around here. Any luck? Fortunately, they seem to have chosen the thickest, deepest section of bush they could have found, which, given the heat, is not very surprising. Drainage line we crossed on the road.
Yeah, first
Okay. Alright, well they should be in here somewhere. Hoping they haven't moved off. Have to hope, of course, that Brent wasn't playing a joke. But I'm sure he wasn't. There we go. So we'll certainly be happy if we eventually find them. You can see another vehicle off to the 3 o'clock to us now. They are apparently with the lions. They are apparently also broken down, which is going to make for quite a long night for them, I suspect. Not very easy to fix your car with 8 lions knocking about. There we go. Look through there. Push there, you can just see the flicking of the ears. You see that? That's just reward. So we'll get much closer. But it's just nice to get a decent long-range view and appreciate their camouflage and what we like to call the moment of discovery. Okay, let's move in a bit closer, see what we can see. Thank you very much, Brent. The others there. Tsovegile mo yang mo. Tsovegile. Tsovegile mo yang mo. Okay. Can we stop here? Just so we block your...
Brent's going to come and give us a go.
So they're quite some distance from where we found them this morning. It's difficult to say why, other than maybe they were found something to hunt, and I believe one of the lionesses did in fact kill a steenbok. And for those of you who don't know what a steenbok is, it's a very small antelope that weighs only about 7 or 8 kilograms, up to 11 kilograms. So for big lions like this, not very much at all. You can see they certainly won't look any fuller than they did this morning. Wonderful sound of one of them growling. Can you hear that? She may well still be eating. It looks like, if you look over there, Jan, and pan to the right, the animal there who was growling through the bush, there she is. If you listen very carefully, you can actually hear her crunching the bones from the hapless antelope. There you go, you can see she's feeding. And she's not going to allow anyone else to get anywhere near a little kill like that. So they've given it up. Also unusually, or not unusually, what is interesting here is that in a big pride, if the male was dominant, if he was dominating the pride, he would definitely be eating. Something's given them a fright. There you can see the carcass. You can see the carcass, you can see how angry she is. Sorry, what's going on behind us here is that vehicle that was stuck is being towed out, and they don't like the sight of the tow rope. And there's really nothing untoward. It's a bit like a horse spooking at a plastic bag. There we go. They'll be gone now. At least we got a great view of those lions. Look, that's a beautiful photograph. I'm not sure how much of that sound you can hear, but it's a blood-curdling growl that a cat like this can make. They've got an ossified larynx, which means they have quite a bony larynx, and it allows them to push out that kind of throat-wrenching, blood-curdling growl that they give. You can hear her doing it now if you listen carefully. Ben in London would like to know if these are the same lions that we saw this morning. Ben, good afternoon to you. Yes, they are indeed the same lions. They're called the Nkuruma Pride as far as I'm aware. And they have moved roughly as the crow flies, or in this area the Birchall starling. They've probably moved about 400 meters to the north, but in the same block, so they haven't actually crossed any roads from where we saw them this morning. Obviously for some of them this is the first time they've seen any form of auto accident, and you can see from their faces they're alternately amused and shocked. Beautiful in this light. Hi Charlie. Charlie would like to know if the sub-adult male is still here. We'll get Vian to pan around to the right to show him now, and that's just such a beautiful framing of those other lions. And there is the sub-adult male now. You can see him there. And as I was saying a little bit earlier, before they were rudely interrupted by that vehicle moving out, he would normally dominate, or dominant male would normally dominate any kind of kill that was made in a pride this size, and it's a testament to the fact that he is more part of the pride than in fact one of the dominant males that he is not feeding. They're now investigating the site of where that vehicle was shot, at least stuck, and eating what looks to be a silver cluster leaf tree, or Terminalia sericea, which is found in an area like this. I don't know if you can see, it's quite open, and the grass species indicate that this is called a seep line, which basically means that water will bubble up to the surface during the rainy season, and those Terminalia trees that they're eating now, or playing with, I doubt they're eating the leaves because nothing eats the leaves, like to grow in the waterlogged soils. That youngster's hungry. Hi Marianne, you would like to know if the lioness feeding is the alpha female. We don't really refer to them as alpha females in a pride of lions. Generally, the dominance hierarchy is quite simply on size, and so she is probably the biggest lioness. When you use the term alpha, it implies some form of leadership, as you might have in a wolf pack or a wild dog pack, where the alpha pair will in fact direct operations, where they will lead the pack on the hunt, and likewise. She may be one of the older and therefore bigger females, and she may well initiate some of the hunts, but not strictly an alpha female, no, probably just the biggest. Fion's doing a sterling job. Oh, look at that. Isn't that magnificent? Larry's just joined us on Twitter, and he'd like to know what the Pride has just killed. The Pride, Larry, has killed a disappointingly small steenbok. I mean, not disappointingly for us, or the steenbok, but for the Pride, which a steenbok is a very small antelope, weighs up to 11 kilograms, and obviously won't go very far amongst the hungry stomachs over here. You can see there's one female. When she picked it up, it looked like she had about half the carcass left. And I mean, a lion will eat up to a third of its body mass in one sitting if given the chance. So that steenbok ain't going to go very far. There she goes. See, she's picked it up there. She's got the hindquarters left, both hindquarters, both of them in her jaws. I'm going to reposition the vehicle slightly, just so that we can get the light behind them, and maybe a slightly better view of a couple of the others. Don't want to put our shadow on them, so I'm going to stop there. A nice frontal on. You can see a little bit better that hapless steenbok now being devoured. And you can see, Marianne, who asked about the question of the alpha, you can see she's lioness will weigh probably around 120 kilograms. Big lioness up to 150, but 120, which sits at probably around 280 pounds, if my mental arithmetic is correct. So, judging from the size of one of those sub-adults, I would say the Pride probably hasn't eaten since you guys told me that they ate a hippo last week. I would suspect that they haven't eaten since then, and will be probably looking to hunt this afternoon. You can see the hip bones sticking out on some of them. We'll just get beyond to have a look there. To the right hand there, on that animal there, you can see the hip bones sticking up. And that's, you know, they've weaned, so they're not getting milk anymore. And because of their size, you can see exactly what happened there. Because of their size, they're unable to compete at small kills, so they won't get anything to eat. I'm sure there's some gore and nastiness on the floor there. And one of the other lionesses is now eating that, and the youngster, you can see, was chased away. And that's why they tend to get thinner before any of the adults do. Even at a big kill, they will feed last. Chivalry is long dead in the world of the lion. And old Junior there might like to think of himself as chivalrous, but actually he's just been bullied by the big lioness. And who can blame him? She's a fearsome creature. Ellen in Arkansas would like to know if when they kill again, would the lion who's eating now have to wait? The answer is absolutely not, Ellen. If she is hungry, she will eat again. You can see she brooks no form of dissent. It's simply at the kill, the hierarchy at the kill is size. So the bigger you are, the more you eat. If she's satiated by that steenbok, then she won't feed again, or she'll feed less than she might otherwise. But until she's absolutely full, she won't stop eating. So that's the same for all lions. They will eat until they're so full they can barely move. And if you've ever seen a satiated lion, it's quite a sight to see. They can barely move, and they don't move to breathe. They don't move to go to the loo sometimes even. So you can see them fighting over the smallest scrap. It's a completely unegalitarian society, if you like, completely unlike a wolf or wild dog pack. I'm just going to sneak a little bit forward. If the light isn't right, will you just let me know? We are going to lose the light fairly soon. I just want to get us the other side there. How's that? Different view of the male, and I'd quite like you to get a sense of the sound that's coming from the throat of the female that's feeding. And once you have heard it, if you ever watch a film that's got some sort of fearsome animal in it, that's even from science fiction, that's the kind of sound that they tend to emulate when they add the special effect sounds, because it's such a blood-curdling sort of primal sound. Okay, we're just going to go, which in this light are going to be magnificent to look at. So we're going to cross back there, and then you'll come back here and we'll see what happens with these lions.
Well, from elephants to probably one of our most attractive, if you could call them pretty, antelope, the waterbuck. And we're with quite an extended family. We're not far from Arathusa Dam, and I have no doubt that these are the waterbuck that many people probably see from our Arathusa camera that is based at Arathusa Lodge at the dam at Arathusa. And well, there's this little one who was of course out in the open a few minutes ago, but I'm sure it'll move again. Gorgeous little child that I think was a newborn a couple of months ago, maybe a month or two ago. And look at it, it's such a perfect little mini-me waterbuck. At the moment it's about the size of an impala, or maybe Nyala. It's got a much deeper body than an impala. And that moving in the background behind her is probably Big Daddy. Her or him. And he's coming up to another bull. Well, there's been another bull. You saw him earlier. He's coming up to the female, the mother of this calf. And he wants to test her urine. But just his approach automatically seemed to intimidate this younger, smaller bull, because he is really the big daddy of this group. I'm guessing that there can't really be any of these females in estrus at the moment, because if there were, he wouldn't let this younger bull who's also an adult, I might add. He's just not as old. Hello, Mr. Waterbuck. You are a handsome dude. Gosh. Very dark from the front compared to the other bull. Incredibly beautiful antelope. The rest of the herd are slightly off behind us. Some of them are actually lying down and they're settling in for probably the first part of the evening when the weather is starting to, or rather the temperatures are starting to drop. The sun is going down behind us. There's a little bit of a ridge behind us, so we're not going to see much of the sunset, I'm afraid. But sometimes you have to forgo sunset for a beautiful sight like this. We've got an entire family of antelope we don't get to see every day. I don't know what the reason is. There used to be a number of waterbuck that lived around Gowrie Dam and around Gowrie, but we don't get to see them very often there. But we can be assured of finding this family that live around Arathusa Dam. Little one at probably about, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 months old, is already feeding on its own. That's Mom that we're looking at now, and as you can see, as Brian moves to the little one, she's actually moved a little bit away. The little one's just behind the bush, and it'll probably try and catch up us shortly, but it's comfortable. Maybe the bull will push it on. No, he's ignoring it. He's more interested in the big bull in front of me. Just wants to make sure that the other bull understands the hierarchy. Not quite as dark as that big bull. And the other bull, the bigger one, is shaking the odd branch with his horns, just in an attempt to intimidate this youngster. He's not much of a youngster, I'd say. I don't know how old he is. Hard to gauge the age of an adult waterbuck, but he's probably around 6. His horns aren't as developed as that other bull. Good couple of years younger, maybe. Very fluffy coats for an antelope that lives in a very hot climate, and perhaps it's got something to do with the fact that they are always in the vicinity of water, and being such they're often in the lower lying areas where temperatures drop more than anywhere else. There are also certain hairs on the waterbuck. Amongst the hairs, they have hollow hairs that help with insulation. They are known to be in the water, but not for long periods. There is a story about how they will run into the water and hide most of their body from predators. And while they do run into dams to avoid predators, they by no means spend a lot of time in the water. And he's in love. There's Mama just checking little one's healthy. You've seen mother cats do that, mother dogs do that. Stimulate the urinary and digestive tract of the calf, the baby, the kid, the cub, the pup. Keep them healthy. Now, we're going to cross over to James. I'm going to make my way back to Djuma. And I'll probably see you either on the way or when I get there. But I'm going to cross over back to James for now. And I'll see you in a little while. Bye for now.
Welcome back to the lions. She's just devoured the two back legs. She started at the sort of what we'd call the shin bone, devoured that, and then ate the two little hooves as well. So it's quite incredible what her digestive system is able to do. She'll probably, the acids in her stomach are extremely powerful, and we often tend to think that the acids in a hyena's stomach are the most powerful, but in fact, lions will scavenge just as much as their hyena enemies, and because of that have stomachs that can cope with stuff almost as, their acids are almost as corrosive as the hyenas are. So she'll be able to digest those hooves and the bones, smaller bones than hyenas, but she'll be able to digest them. There's a lot of nutrients, nothing's obviously wasted from a little steenbok like that, and she's certainly got a far more satisfied look on her face than she did this morning. Still, she's still got a little bit left, but I think that was pretty much the end of the steenbok. Wild dogs, we're on the way. There's a wild dog there, it was chasing the steenbok, and that's what the lions, that's why, the steenbok was probably sitting here watching these lions. So now, if any of you saw the wild dog, but they've hopped off to the right-hand side there, we're going to go after the dogs. Good job, lion. Just don't want to frighten the lions as we do it. The dogs are too much of a rare occurrence. So that steenbok was probably watching the lions for ages, quietly hiding away until it was flushed by the wild dogs. Turn off and listen. You can see the lioness off there. She's moved there. I can hear the dogs off to the front of us. We're going to carry on there. The lioness will follow them because for competition, not to try and eat them, but they will try and kill. Watch out for them. Oh no. The lioness will try and kill a wild dog because of the competition that they offer. We just don't want to destroy the vehicle here. Okay, here we go. Just gonna have a stop and have another little listen. There we go. They're off to the left-hand side there. Hear them there. Might actually be an alarm calling animal, but that's what they've seen. Lioness there. There, you can hear the alarm calling. I'm going to carry on. I'm going to leave the lions. Wild dogs will eventually. Sorry we're driving so fast, but we've got there. You
See the dogs?
Yeah, right in front.
We've got the dogs right in front of us, but they move so fast that we have to move quickly, otherwise we'll lose them. So if you're starting to feel nauseous watching this, sorry about that, but I promise Vian's feeling worse. He did spot them just in front of us here. You still see them?
Yeah, negative.
Where were they going? Okay. There they are, on the termite mound. Look in front of us there. I'm going to stop here so you get a view. Fantastic. Now this one's contact calling. He's trying to catch the rest of the pack. Isn't that magnificent? He's obviously been separated from the rest of the pack. So I'm going to get a little bit closer and then turn off so that he can hear if they respond to him. Hey, that's exciting. There, look to the right there. To the right, there's another animal there. There we go. Moving down, another one off there. There we go, that's 4. Not sure if you can see through there where I'm pointing. There we go, and beyond. There we go, coming round to the back now. This is extremely special. They're probably, at last count, 350 left in the Kruger National Park. I'm not sure if that's accurate still. Maybe someone would like to check that on the Sam Park's website. But very few, and probably fewer than 3,000 left in the world. Highly, highly endangered African painted wolf. So I drove like a total maniac there because they are so endangered and such a rare sighting, and also because they move so incredibly fast. Here comes another one off to my right. You can see it there, moving slightly through there. Just see them moving there. So you can hear it's a dog-like sound he's making, but not quite a domestic animal sound. Look at that. Not fantastic. That's most likely one of the alpha males, at least one of the alpha pair, the male or the female. I can't tell from here. Looks like a and look how she courses off. That's what they do. Coursing run. Okay, I'm not going to follow them through here. It's a bit thick and they're diurnal animals, so I don't want to disturb them. They'll be at a distinct advantage against those lions come the night time. The lions will inevitably, because they see so much better at night, being nocturnal animals, they present a real danger to a pack of dogs. So I don't want to disturb them too much. We'll drive out towards where they were going and find the next road that way. But if we don't see them again, I'm sorry about that. Wasn't that an amazing sight? You're right there. I didn't damage you, Björn?
No.
Okay. Maybe you'd like to share your experiences if you have. I believe you have seen them once or twice on Djuma in the last month. What that means, I mean, this is quite an interesting time of the year for them, because the pack will be looking to try and set up a den fairly soon. And the alpha female is probably pregnant. And they will den in a termite mound like the one we've just gone past. But it will obviously have to have a hole in it. They tend to den in the winter months, normally a little bit later than this, but there are packs denning in some other areas. And they den in winter because the grass is low, and so it's easier for them to hunt. They don't rely on stealth to hunt like a lion does, for example. Not sure if you lost us there. We managed to knock our aerial off. And when I say we, I mean me. Okay. All right, on we go. There's a road just down here. Connie's just made mention of the fact that she's heard wild dogs chirp before, but not bark. And that barking noise is more an alarm. That's probably, Connie, that's probably why you haven't heard it before. It's an alarm call more than it is a rallying cry. They will whoop and tweet when they are rallying to each other at a kill, or even while they're on the hunt. That bark is sort of much like I suppose a domestic dog bark is, an alarm call. I'm not sure we're ever going to find a road through here, so we may have to turn back. Jan, what do you think? See if we don't spot the line. Is there a road there?
There's a drainage line going through as well.
Okay. I think we should head along the crest then maybe and go back through past the lines. See if we can't find them again. I don't think we're going to find the dogs again, especially not in this light, so I'd rather leave them alone. Does it make a difference which way the wild dog is facing? Does it make a difference to which way the sound travels? The answer is definitely yes. You see, to speak of on a computer or on a TV, but here with the sound, you can very clearly hear when the dog's head is turned towards you and barking, or when it's turned away. So it absolutely makes a huge difference to the direction in which it's calling. I hope that answers your question, Ellen. starting to get the impression we're going to be stuck in here for life. We'll just quickly go back and see if we can't spot those lions. But I say quickly, we're not going to go very quickly at all. Termite mound in front of us here, we're going off to the left here. That's the kind of thing where the wild dog would search for a hole in a termite mound like that has been made by an aardvark or ant bear, those sort of ant-eating animals with a long snout and the long claws, and they will dig into a termite mound like that and leave a hole or a burrow, and the wild dogs will then use that, much like the hyenas do, as a burrow and den. They'll move it every few days because they obviously start to smell quite bad with little puppies. Carry on here and see if you can't see the lions while they're following up, and obviously as soon as if they find her, we will obviously cut straight to them. What you guys can't see at the moment, of course, is that Vian is being smashed about by branches as I
Like me.
it was. This is where we had them. We're just going to suspect they've probably moved off in the direction of the dogs. Obviously, there we go, lions in front there. Just get the spotlight. There's the young male. There he is. Okay, I'm just going to widen the beam. So I don't want to blind him. Obviously, shining a light like this in a human's eyes would render you almost blind for a time. So for the lions, their eyes are that much more sensitive even than ours, so we've got to be a little bit sensitive about where we shine. Okay. Figure a route through there. I'm not actually moving in the direction that the dogs are going. Surprising to me. As I was saying, lions tend to scavenge as much, in some areas even more than hyenas do. And so it's not surprising wild dogs. Then seeing what they can filter. Lost our aerial again, sorry about that. I've knocked our aerial off the back again. So now, see if we can re-find those lions. Vian is not only a magnificent cameraman, he's also extremely adept and agile fixer of things.
Easiest one there?
Not the easiest one, sorry about that. I'm just going to turn off here. See if I can't spot the lion for you. The young male walked off in that direction there. Alright, we're back online. Not sure if anyone can hear us. Here we go. This clearing where it's a bit easier to drive. The animal will have to do less maintenance on his equipment.
There's one here in front of us. That would have been dug by an aardvark, probably, or ant bear. Not sure where those lions have gone.
There they are.
See them?
In front of us.
We only spotted them in front of us. Oh, there we go. There we go. It's the young male. Okay. All right. So there's the young male there. He seems to have been separated from the rest of the pride a little bit. They may have gone off with the dogs. I promise you I'm not lost, despite the fact that this is my first day. And if you remember, you're welcome to ask any questions you'd like. You can use the Twitter handle, #SafariLive. Shh, shh, shh. I'm not sure if you can hear that. Just off to where the sun is setting. Females are contact calling. So we're just going to wash him with the edge of the light and not shine it directly in his eyes. And there's a little bird above him called a white-browed scrub robin that at this time of the day makes the calls that you can hear. He's going psh, Franklin's calling off to the east there. Hi, Gerda is asking if the lions or the wild dogs managed to kill the other steenbok. The answer is most likely not. The steenbok ran off in a different direction and was definitely being chased by the dogs, but as soon as the lion stood up, the dogs gave up the chase. So I think that steenbok probably survived. A steenbok relies largely on its ability to hide, being so small, and it was probably sitting quite close to the lions there when the dogs flushed it. But I think unlike its friend from earlier today, it probably managed. You can see the first star of the night coming out above us. Stars are a little rusty, but I would say that was Venus. Well, that's not Venus, that's obviously the moon. But Venus off here, off down to the left and down of the moon. A beautiful African sunset for you. perfect way to end such an exciting afternoon. I'm not sure if you can hear them. We're going to link back to Mark now, who's hot on the trail of Karula. We're not sure if it's difficult to track, obviously, when the light gets down like this, but they are still on the tracks. So we're going to cross back to Mark and see how he's doing.
Well, good evening, everybody, and well, I believe we've had an incredibly exciting time with the lion. I wish I was there to see wild dog coming through a sighting like that. It's almost unheard of. I can count maybe on one hand the times that I've been with lion and they've had wild dog coming through a couple of times, and then times when I've been with wild dog and we just happen to stumble upon lion. Very, very seldom happens. Obviously, it happens a lot, but for us to be in that situation, to be able to see it, was very, very special. The flower, unfortunately, thing that you're not even going to get to see on the screen. Maybe if I go past there again tomorrow, it'll have fallen off and I can find it on the ground. But it's one of those things, I think, really unusual that there's a gardenia flower this time of the day, this time of the year. We're on Vuatela Access Road. We've come back from Arathusa after the waterbuck. It was a really special sighting. There's been a really lovely sky tonight. It's clear blue, so there's this beautiful afterglow that Brian was showing you when you came back to us. I love this afterglow. For me, it's the winter evenings, this beautiful glow in the sky that lasts for a long time. We're back at Djuma. We just up from the lodge, very, very close to the lodge. There's been some excitement around the lodge here, apart from the lion and the wild dog that aren't too far away. There's actually a leopard around here somewhere.
Yeah, Brent, any luck with Djuma?
As you can hear, Brent is out helping us as well. Brent's in one of the other vehicles, and he's been trying to track this leopard, and we think it's probably Karula. And he tracked her down to, she was seen, actually we were radioed, and I'm looking around a bit because I don't want to miss her. I don't want to be looking at you. She's going to pop out onto this road and cross it. I'm trying to look both ways, but the staff that were at Gallagher camp actually saw her drinking, and they radioed the guys. Brent was close by. He didn't get a visual of her because by then she'd already dropped into the drainage line. But where we saw the elephants yesterday evening, I think it was, at that little waterhole in front of Gallagher camp, well, she was drinking there. And they've been hearing monkey alarm calls and Nyala alarm calls around camp. So we're up here at Zoe's Road Junction. I'm going to make my way back down towards quarantine. Ephraim is on quarantine. Brent is there, is also looking. And we hope that she's actually going to come out somewhere and give us a surprise. Sometimes we have to sit and listen quietly because we need to hear alarm calls. We need to hear the sounds that might tell us where she is. Because we've had a loss now with the fact that darkness is falling. We do have the light, and the light will pick up her eyes if we do see her. It will help us to find her. This is the power line where we are. I don't know if you noticed that line in that lovely afterglow that Brian was showing you, and Venus in the distance. And to stop, this is the line that brings power to the lodge, and she was walking along this power line. She could be anywhere right now. Well, join us. Let's drive around a little bit, see if we can maybe find this leopard. Look, there's a scorpion sticking its head out of a tree. Oh, it's gone in. Gosh. I need to try and remember that. I just see one of its pincers. It was hanging out. I must have picked up the vibrations of my voice and the fact that I shone a light on it. Pity. Well, keep it in mind. Miss Bradley, MJ Bradley, nice to hear from you, MJ, because I haven't heard from you in a while. Very nice to hear from you again. Wanting to know if the waterbuck give birth all year round or if they're seasonal. They're mostly around summertime, MJ. There's something down there. In the grass is just next to Mike and Candace's house. That might be her. Just take a ride down this power line. The power line itself goes all the way to the lodge, but this track that used to be here ends. There's a big donga, a big gully as we get further down. Even be coming this way. Things like warthog and buffalo. And here you can see one of those covers, the steel cover, steel plate painted black. And that's about as far as we can go. What I was seeing, whoops, stop and listen. And right now I can only really hear the generator because the wonderful power company, this very same that I'm talking about, has decided that the country's power demand is too high, so they cut our power twice a day for a couple of hours. It really is not easy to live without power when everything is geared up for it. So generators are running, making a bit of a noise in the distance. Not seeing what I was seeing earlier. I definitely saw some eyes up that way. Now that's going up that power line. It's sort of an alley. Not an eye reflecting back. Beyond one of those far power lines. That's actually where the staff quarters is. That's where we were staying before we moved back to Manyaleti, and that's the power line. It's a gap in this big bush. But another thing, well, if you don't try, you don't know, I guess. And now to turn around, that's going to be a mission. Copy that. Well, I'm extracting myself from this area because it is a little bit dense. I'm going to cross back to James, see what's happening there. I'm going to make my way back out of this little bit of an area and back out onto the road. We're going to drive around Quarantine. We've got a few minutes left to drive. I hope maybe we're going to find her when she comes out. So let's go back to James and I'll see you shortly. Welcome back to Jiga. The night has fallen, as you can see. We're just going to thank you for being here with us this afternoon. I
dogs. This, of course, was a response to my sort of knee-jerk response to thinking I had guests on the back of the car and not you all watching from so far away. So I'm sorry if you thought that I didn't want you to ask any questions. That was definitely not the case. So it was a knee-jerk sort of reaction to normally having guests on the back of the car and we need to hear what's going on. So I hope you had a good time today. I had an amazing time, especially with those dogs at the end.
I haven't really moved since we went to say goodbye to James. Sorry, we were looking at the moon. Was it the moon? I didn't look at my screen.
It was indeed.
The moon and Jupiter.
Just the moon.
Oh, I thought Jupiter tonight. The moon and Jupiter. Well, I haven't moved because I was convinced I saw an eye up there where I can't get to, but I think one of the other vehicles went around next to... Sorry, where are we looking? It's not showing itself. Even if it did, I couldn't get closer. This is a extricate myself there from this little dense area along the power line. We'll make our way back up onto quarantine, and maybe we'll. And the vehicle that was on that other side stopped right there where it was, and that's why I'm thinking it might not be her, but let's continue. We'll head back up to Gallagher Shortcut. Tomorrow is another day. Let's keep that in mind. This is the end of everything. I mean, this is just the end of the day. So, being tomorrow another day, I'm hoping a few new viewers are going to be joining us again. And for those of you who've been with us a long time, like MJ and others, we'll see you in the morning. But before we go, if we don't find her now, that's what I was trying to get at. If we don't find her now, we got tomorrow. There was some impala here on quarantine, fairly close to the edge of this bushveld where she was last known to be. Nobody's been alarming. We've been sitting quietly for a couple of minutes, and there are a few people around. I can understand why, when I saw one of the staff members, why they said they didn't hear anything, because the generator's running so closer to the lodge. You're probably not going to hear any alarm calls. But it might just be that a leopard is going to use that background noise maybe to mask her own inadvertent noise if she's trying to get closer to animals or trying to disguise her presence. Disappeared for the time being. There they are. Picking up the fumes from something. One impala. Two impala. But I'd like to shine on them, especially if there's a cat in the area. And when there is a cat in the area, we wouldn't be able to shine on it either, because you don't really want to shine on an animal, either the predator or the prey, when they are about to be hunting or when they're close to prey, because you don't want to give either one the advantage over the other. The other thing that is important is that most of the diurnal species, the animals that we see during the day, since we see them during the day, there's no real need to stop and view. Animals that we're not likely to see. Now, it's not often that we actually get to see them, unfortunately. We've got to be very lucky to be able to find some of the wonderful little nocturnal creatures that live out here. One of them is a white-tailed mongoose, which often towards this time of the year with these shorter grasses we get to see. When the grasses are long, we don't get to see it so well, but once the animals flatten the grasses a bit, it gets easier to see some of the smaller children. There's a little herd of impala to my right. Just see their eyes shining, perhaps. Maybe if I do that. Yeah. The light reflecting off of their tapetum. One of the reasons why you won't see eyes but I will is because I'm holding the light, and for a lot of things the light actually, so unless it's a really big animal, it's very difficult for you viewing from this angle, unless it's directly over my head, or unless I move the light closer to you. It's very difficult for you to see the eyes that we see, because quite often when we're driving around, we're not necessarily looking for an animal in this darkness, because it's not so easy to see an animal in the dark. But what it is that we get to see the reflection out of the animal's eye, coming from a wonderful adaptation in the eye that helps animals to see better at night. A layer of light reflective cells that help to increase the amount of light hitting the retina. It has been a super day. I think quite apt and quite magical that we've had such a wonderful day after having the kind of really bad luck with the really quiet times that we've had over the last few days. Things seem to be coming out of the woodwork, and we've had a fantastic day. I mean, fantastic time with elephants from my point of view, and James being so lucky, I can't believe it. And he's only just got here and new blood. I hope you've been enjoying his presentation, always presenting. Certainly a great chap to learn from and to swap information, to swap stories. My name is Mark. Brian has been on camera with me this evening, and something else. Thank you for joining us. Thank you from all of us here at Wild Earth. Thank you to James and Wiem on the other vehicle. My name is Mark, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, 6:30 Central African time for our sunrise drive. Love you lots. Good night.